Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rise. We're back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida, and guess what? I have that one performance pony packing a horsepower punch from Ford. It's this car right here. This is a 2025 Mustang Dark Horse. But before we get into this naturally aspirated V8 rear-wheel drive high-performance car, let's talk about what's going on here. So all the competition that Ford has had with the Mustang has fallen to the wayside. Now, there is a lot of discussion on what is Dodge doing with the Hemi V8. Are they gonna bring back the supercharged Hemi? Are they gonna have the naturally aspirated 6.4 liter 392 Hemi? Nothing is etched in stone yet until we see it with our own two eyes. But one thing is for certain, by the summertime, Dodge is bringing the six-pack. Now, we all know about all the upset fans, including yours truly, when Dodge came out with the Charger Daytona EV, that first, what Dodge is calling electrified muscle car. What they're doing, though, to kind of make amends, is they're coming out with a car known as the Charger SixPack. That's gonna have a turbocharged ICE engine underneath the hood, an actual twin turbocharged ICE engine. Now that car will be, like I said, coming out by the end of this summer. But what I want to find out is, do you wait for that Charger six-pack, or do you go with what you know right in front of you right now with the Dark Horse? Let's go ahead, let's dive into ours and find out. Right off the bat, this is the specific only Dark Horse color called Blue Ember. And what I love about the color is that it actually changes its hue depending on how much or how little sunlight there is. So with it being overcast, it's almost like a very, very dark purplish blue color. Really digging that. Now, at the front of the business, you're definitely getting that muscle car, performance car look. Full LED lighting. You got your LED tri-bar headlights that are now horizontal across the top. When you go Dark Horse, you are getting some specific body work. And what you're finding is this flat gray finish. It's like a very, very dark gunmetal gray finish. This is unique to the Dark Horse. I know some people are calling it the eyeliner front end because it almost looks like eyeliner under somebody's eyes with the headlights being the eyes. Now, working our way down, we do have body color and we have massive corner air intakes for those heat exchangers, a little bit of gloss black, and then you do get a splitter that is specific to the Dark Horse. Now, when we're looking at the six-pack from Dodge, the Charger six-pack, you will get a totally different front end, basically, than what you find on a Charger Daytona EV because you need more venting for all the cooling of that internal combustion engine. So just like with the Mustang GT, compared to the Dark Horse, you have a different look. Same thing with the Charger. Now, as we come across that front end, I do love on the S650 platform how you have those twin air inlets, one on each side of that gloss black grille. Everything is this gunmetal flat gray finish, including the iconic Mustang logo. And then working our way down, you have some gloss black on the lower grille. It matches the top portion. Everything enlarged to flow more cool air. And then you have that splitter extension along the lower lip. But definitely the face of this Dark Horse, even though this was an all-new performance trim for the Mustang when they launched this platform last year, has that Mustang look. It's going to be interesting to see what people think about what that Charger Daytona six-pack is going to look like. Basically, they're just calling it the Charger six-pack. It's going to be interesting. Now, as we rise up, you are getting that slight muscle car bulge with our gloss black heat extractor. There is going to be some type of venting on the hood of the six-pack. We have to wait and see exactly how much of it is functional. But I have seen photos, and there is going to be some venting on the hood because remember, with a twin turbo straight six, that's going to produce a lot of horsepower, but it's also going to produce a lot of heat. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with? wheel and tire setup. So when you go Dark Horse, you are getting these specific V-spoke wheels. Love the look, 19-inch wheels, nice gunmetal, flat gray finish. You see those almost purple 6-piston Brembo calipers? They actually call that color Notorious Blue. And that is a color specific to the Dark Horse. It matches the blue ember very nicely. We have 2-piece rotors, 15.7 inches in diameter up front, and then 14 inches out back. And of course, we have that specially tuned suspension with our Pirelli P0 tires. Tires up front are 255 on the width, 40 series sidewall. But let me know what you think about the color of the wheel with the Notorious Blue 6-pack, well, 6-piston calipers. I really think that the Charger 6-pack is going to have 20-inch wheels. So that means you'll have an inch larger in diameter. And we already know that Dodge has worked with Brembo to produce 6-piston calipers. I'm sure you will find those on the 6-pack as well. But this is what we have in front of us right now, and it's looking pretty darn good. Now, coming down the side of the vehicle, you got that new Dark Horse badge. Not my favorite looking performance badge, but it is unique to the Dark Horse. You're also going to have gunmetal gray, flat gray finish on the mirror caps. This one, it's going to be hard to see, but I'm sure Lori could show it off very effectively. This has the black painted roof. I really like the black painted roof. It cuts down on the blue ember just enough, and you actually see it, of course, a lot more, the difference in the color when you have sun out. Now, from the side of the vehicle, you see the overall proportions, rear-wheel drive. This one has 355 gears out back. If you get a manual, it's 373 gears. And that's the other thing, is that from what has been shown, the 6-pack is only going to be available as an automatic. This is available as a manual and an automatic. So you get to have it your way. Now, working our way towards the rear, you got that classic fastback design, 19-inch wheels out back. These are a little bit wider. So what you're looking at when it comes to tire size out back is going to be 275 on the rear, 40 series sidewall. Of course, we have a limited slip diff to get the power to the ground, and this also has that drift brake, that e-brake that's also a drift brake. Some technology there to allow you to have some extra fun. It'll be interesting to see what Dodge does with their 6-pack when it comes to different ways to set up the programs and different modes and all that fun stuff. And then working our way around the back, this is your standard wing on a Dark Horse. So you're going to have the gunmetal flat gray with these gloss black supports. And then you have the V section in the middle, easy to identify when you see it. Love the way they did the taillights. And I even like the way that they painted the midsection here rather than this all being gloss black. As we work our way down, of course, you're going to have specific, massive, flat black, functional, adaptive exhausts. It's that Ford Performance exhaust that you can make it louder, you can make it quieter. Nice large openings, slash cut tips, and even the way that they did the lower diffuser here, looking good. Of course, you're still going to have your diff cooler, engine oil cooler, all those extra coolers to keep the temps in check. And that's another thing that's going to be interesting to see, is what is Dodge going to do with the 6-pack when it comes to performance coolers. We'll have to wait and see. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering this Dark Horse. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have the hood struts. Unlike Dodge, Ford stuck with the V8. First of all, on the Dark Horse, you get that nice strut tower brace with the Dark Horse name and the Mustang name there. And then, of course, you have that 5-liter Coyote V8, naturally aspirated power. This is the most powerful Coyote V8 engine ever produced, specifically when we're talking about the 5-liter. You're looking at 500 horsepower, 418 pound-feet of torque. You could get it 6-speed manual or 10-speed automatic, 0 to 60 in about 3.8 seconds, quarter mile in 12.3 seconds at 113 miles an hour, and a top speed of 166 miles an hour. MPGs 14 in the city, 22 on the highway, and the car weighs around 4,000 pounds. Now, If we're talking six-pack, we're obviously talking about that Hurricane engine. That is a 3-liter inline-6 twin turbocharged power plant. It does have a forged bottom end. So you're looking at forged rods, forged pistons, forged crank. It pumps out 540 horsepower. So it's actually more horsepower than this vehicle right here. The big question mark is, with it being a straight 6 and it being the new chassis, will it be lighter? And if it is lighter, how much lighter? Remember, the S650 platform actually went up in weight compared to the previous generation. And yes, I know your grandmammy and your mailman told you that the supercharged Hemi is coming, but we don't have the actual car in front of us yet. I've seen the 6-pack. I haven't seen a Hemi-powered new Charger. We'll have to wait and see. But why don't we go ahead? We don't have a 6-cylinder. We got a V8. Why don't we fire it up and hear what it sounds like? All right, guys, we are inside this 2025 Mustang Dark Horse with that V8 pumping like a heart underneath the hood. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this performance car to wind up in my garage. I've been rubbing my lucky rabbit's foot day in and day out, hoping that I'll have the opportunity to be able to buy one. I've been looking at the 6-pack and the little information that there is out there, but I've also always had a sweet spot for Mustangs in my heart. How much is this? MSRP, for the way that this Dark Horse is equipped, you're looking at right around $75,500. No official pricing yet, of course, on the Charger 6-pack, but I'm going to expect the pricing to be pretty even Stevens, because if you look at the previous Charger and Challengers, they were spot on the money, neck and neck with the Ford Mustang and the different trims of the Mustang. But why don't we find out and see if Dark Horse is the way to go, and the way to go right now? To the door panels. I do love the way you have some unique touches on the Dark Horse. You have that dark blue interior trim on the door panel. You have Alcantara, and then they blacked out, or I should say grayed out, all of the shiny trim from the normal Mustang, like your door handle to open the door, your door handle to close the door, no gloss black, and you got a good sized pocket down there where you can get the Big Mac, the special sauce, shredded lettuce and everything, and a large fry plus an apple pie. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, what I like about the Dark Horse is that you do get a chassis number, so each one is specific. Love the way they have the blue stitching, matches the blue ember on the exterior. And then slide on in, what are you getting when you go infotainment system? Now, with the Mustang, you get one massive screen. And the thing with the Dark Horse, it's basically the same screen setup. So that is the bummer in all of it. You could actually adjust your exhaust opening, or I should say volume, very easily. You could go into your auxiliary gauges very nicely. And then, of course, when it comes to screens, the 6-pack, if you look at any of my Charger Daytona EV videos, will have the same infotainment system. I like the infotainment system better in the Daytona. Well, and what's going to be in the 6-pack. So this is nice. I just don't like the way it's stuck onto the dash. I like it better when it's integrated, and I like two separate screens, not just one ginormous one. Working our way down, you do have your start-stop button. You got your easy access buttons. So if you want to go into your modes, you just hit the pony button here. The other thing about this is that all of the functions are in the screen. So your AC controls are in the screen. your dual climate. This doesn't have heated or ventilated seats because we have the optional Recaros. Working our way down, you got a 12 volt. You're gonna wanna run a radar detector or you're gonna wind up in trouble. USB-C, USB-A. Would have been nice to have some wireless charging. Where's my wireless charging? That's a zonk, but you can put 5 track day Twinkies. This one has the 10-speed automatic, but you can get a 6-speed manual, and the manual is a Tremec, which is even better. Here is our drift brake. So it's that electronic e-brake that you could actually also use as a drift brake. Not only does it look damn good, but it is very functional with the way that they have it programmed. 2 cup holders. Of course, you're gonna have your Mustang key fob. Flip it around. Got your buttons. More of that blue stitching, soft touch. Open it up. You got another 12 volt and you got enough room in there, I would say, for 4 cans of V8 juice. Now, the reason why you want the V8 juice is not for you. What you do is when you're at the track and you beat a Charger 6-pack, you give them a Twinkie and you give them a V8. And what you say to them is, you should have had a V8. Makes sense. Seats. I love these Recaros. These are absolutely amazing. The blue, the embroidery, the Alcantara, the bolstering. Yes, they're manual adjustments for the passenger and the driver. And yes, I don't care because these seats look fantastic and they also hold you in very fantastic. Now, you do have a back seat and they do match everything with the front, very nicely done. The one thing to remember though is that the back seat in the Charger 6-pack is larger. Believe it or not, there is no difference in passenger volume compared to the 4-door Charger and a 2-door Charger for 2026. That's pretty impressive. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the special wheel in this special Mustang. All right, guys, we are inside the business end of this 2025 Dark Horse version of the Mustang. Love the way it's got the Mustang Dark Horse sill plate, looking good. And then the pedal box, you got an aluminum brake pedal, aluminum throttle. I'm gonna keep zonking it until Ford changes it. We need an aluminum dead pedal, please, ASAP. You do have your manual controls, but the good news is they're connected to Recaros. And I love the way a Recaro just hugs my body, especially when you're going through the twisty bits. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom. They did that on purpose so that you can get in and out of your Mustang with a helmet on, because you're gonna need a helmet if you're running at the drag strip or your favorite road course. Steering wheel, specific to the Dark Horse, is that you have the Alcantara with the blue stitching, flat black on all the switchgear. You do have paddles on the back of the wheel. They're not metal, and that's gonna be a zonk on the Dark Horse to go up and down the 10-speed automatic. It is a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. And then of course we got that digital portion of the gauge cluster. And I love the way that when you go into your different modes, this is where you can change what the dash is doing. So you can hit the buttons right on the steering wheel and it's like playing freaking Forza 28 or Gran Turismo 37 with all the graphics and functionality in there. Really, really digging how they do that with the technology. And of course, depending on what mode you're in, is going to change the instrumentation. Really nice to have that set up. Of course, in the Charger 6-pack, they have that configurability as well. Now, we do have a trunk, and what I could tell you is that the Charger has a larger cargo area. Not only did they have it on the previous generation compared to the Mustang, they have it even more so. It's even larger, because remember, it's got that sport back, lift back design. But you got about 15 cubic feet of space with this Mustang. The reason why I don't want to show you is because of this. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle in this Mustang. All right, guys, we're behind the wheel of this 2025 Mustang Dark Horse. What's a V8 like? It's like this. On throttle, here we go. Nice. Love the way that the Dark Horse just gets down to business. Would have been nicer if this was a manual, but beggars can't be choosers, and I guess the nice thing is at least Ford offers you the choice. Now, when it comes to these Recaros, so glad that they're in this car. It just helps with the attitude of the car and keeps you connected to the car. You know, one of the things when you're behind the wheel of a high performance car is you don't want to be moving around. You want to be strapped in, held in place so that you can feel exactly everything that's going on underneath those 4 tires. And the only way to do it is when you are strapped in and everything is rock solid. Now, what I'm gonna do is I took the shift lever, I put it on M. M is for manual shift mode. I'm gonna use the paddles to go up and down the 10-speed automatic because it's just so much more engaging. Plus, you're gonna be impressed with how fast the Mustang Dark Horse shifts up the gears and down the gears when you are manually using the paddles. Another thing is when we're comparing this to the Charger SixPack, remember that has an 8-speed automatic. It's the Torque Flight 8-speed automatic transmission. So you do get 2 more gears when you go with the 10-speed automatic. And if you go manual, which would be my choice, you're getting that Tremec 6-speed, which is a little piece of magic. Other than that, the way that the interior is laid out in the Dark Horse is really great. The only thing is I really feel that Dodge, even though it took them forever, upped the ante when it comes to their interior. If you watch any of my Charger Daytona EV reviews, the SixPack is going to have the same interior. They did a fantastic job with it. Fantastic job. And if you're looking for a little bit more room on the interior, the Charger SixPack is going to be the way to go over this Dark Horse, especially for the people sitting in the back. If you're not going to really have anybody back there, or you don't care how comfortable they are, then this will be fine. But if you want to have a little extra leg room and shoulder room for your backseat passengers, the Charger SixPack is the way to go. Now, getting to that 13.1-inch infotainment system, nice and large. The fascinating thing is that with the SixPack, you'll be able to get an optional 16-inch digital gauge cluster and a 12.3-inch infotainment system screen. Dodge really wants the gauge cluster to be larger because that's all the important information, right? The infotainment system screen, that's great, but that's not like important information unless you're running the auxiliary gauges. But great view out the windshield, that classic Mustang look, feel, and of course the power. Love the downshifts in this thing. You ready? On throttle, here we go. The linear torque delivery is fantastic, and that's the one thing. When you go naturally aspirated V8, the torque delivery is going to be so much linear than even a twin turbocharged straight 6. Obviously, power-wise, at the end of the day, you do get more power out of that Hurricane high output straight 6, but the torque delivery is just so, it comes in lower and it's so much more linear with the Dark Horse. Of course, they're going to have different modes, just like you have the different modes in the Dark Horse. They really worked a lot with the steering. And that's another thing is, remember, we do have a V8, but we also have a V8 hanging off the front of the car, which is going to mean more weight off the nose. How is that going to compare with the weight of the Charger SixPack? That is still yet to be determined, and I can't wait to see what those overall weight numbers are going to be. But why don't we go on throttle again, right? That's what we're here for. Drop it down a little bit. 3rd gear. You ready? On throttle, here we go. God. The sound is worth the price of admission. It really, really is. And that's another thing, is that what is the Charger SixPack gonna sound like? Because we've heard the Ram RHO, and it really isn't anything super to write home about. So I'm a little concerned about that. Let's drop it down to second gear. You ready? Oh, throttle, here we go. Linear torque on the brakes. Those Brembos, look at this. Look at this. Nice. I love this thing. Love, love, love this car. God. If only they just put some metal paddles. If only they just did a few other things and just change the placement of the screen, man. It just kills me that it's just stuck on. I hate that. I really do. It bothers me. But I love the sound of that exhaust, man. I love the sound of that exhaust. Nice downshifts. Like I said, whether you're going up the gears or down the gears, the exhaust just sounds great. And the transmission, it's very quick shifting. On throttle. Wow, 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 wow. There's no replacement for displacement. And I'm sure the Charger SixPack guys and girls are gonna say, well, yeah, there is replacement for displacement. It's twin turbos. But it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. Just love how this car drives. The seats are great. To me, they're comfortable. Obviously very, very supportive. I know for certain body types, it may not feel as comfy, and I get it. That's why they offer it as an option. You don't have to have it. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Wow, wow, wow. You look down at that speedometer and you're just like, what? That's how fast this thing is. But it's a perfect daily driver. It's a car you can take to the track, your favorite twisty roads, the drag strip, and you're part of that club, the Mustang Club, man. It's gonna be fascinating to see how the Brotherhood welcomes that Hurricane power plant. They haven't been very welcoming when it comes to the Charger Daytona EV. Will they be more welcoming? And yes, I know, supposedly down the road, Dodge is bringing the Hemi back. But until I see it, I ain't believing it. But we're gonna go ahead. I got the real deal right in front of me right now. We're gonna get back to Walker Ford and wrap up this review. I'll see you in a Mustang Minute. All right, guys, another windy day, another fun day here at Walker Ford. Definitely gotta thank Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, and the rest of the crew getting us access to this blue ember. That's the official color for the Dark Horse, 2025 Dark Horse. Now it's your turn. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Are you gonna save your pennies and wait for the Charger SixPack? Or are you gonna go with what's in front of us right now with this V8 powered, not a 6-cylinder, V8 powered performance muscle car? Let me know in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rights family. Gotta get out to Lori Raiti. She's working that camera like the champ that she is, busting her butt day in and day out. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.